Okay.
I call our regular meeting of August 11, 2014 to order. Could I have roll call, please?
Mr. Cooterich?
Present.
Ms. Bowles?
Here.
Ms. Kraut?
Here.
Mr. Thiede?
Present.
Ms. Funderburg?
Here.
Ms. Beard?
Here.
Ms. Buckley is here.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of a business under the report of the superintendent portion of the agenda. Item A, approval to approve the minutes of the Board of Education of the regular meeting on July 28th, 2014, and special meeting of August 4th, 2014. B, approval to approve the personnel actions as submitted by Gary Banas, Director of Human Resources. Resignation of a science teacher and French teacher at the high school. C, approval to approve the bills for payment as submitted by Dr. Vincent Mensa, Director of Business and Operations, in the amount of $979,492.92. Could I have a motion, please?
Madam,
There's also the middle school teacher, special ed.
Special ed, yeah.
Under B.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I missed that one.
I was going to mention it too.
Okay, correction on item B, approval to approve the personnel actions. It should be a science teacher, a foreign language teacher at the high school, both of those are at the high school, and a middle school special ed teacher.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we support the agenda as presented.
Support, and I have a question.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by, was it
Danielle.
Ms. Funderburg.
Daniel.
Mrs. Funderburg? Discussion, Mrs. Funderburg?
And I guess this would be directed to Mr. Banas. We've had a really high turnaround with French teachers over at the high school. I didn't know that, could we kind of investigate to find out why that is? I think probably within the last three years, we've had to get someone new in that position every year.
Okay.
And so if we could just kind of find out what's going on, because I know that our kids, they need that second language to graduate, so I don't, right.
Right.
Especially the continuity, because my daughter took the French course, and the changes in instructors just, she didn't even like French anymore, so,
Okay.
I think that, we need to really kind of look into that.
Yep.
That was it for me.
Plus, I guess I remember when my daughter was, she loved the language, and they did the many, where they went over to France, the trips, and we need somebody that's involved like that to inspire the kids.
Okay. So I have a motion by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Ms. Funderburg. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The next item is report of superintendent. Mrs. McAnally.
Good evening, everyone. The first item is the approval of the revised two-year debt elimination plan, and Dr. Menza.
Well, I believe everybody received the revised step earlier on. But if anyone has any question,
Trying to see.
I'll be glad to answer them.
I do, I have a question. On the back, it says the plan, it says increase the duration of non-classroom vacancies to achieve increased savings in personnel costs. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Okay. First of all, the sentence, what is the contingency plan if the district loses pupil? There is a spelling mistake in there. It should be loses.
Yeah.
Now,
To lose savings and personnel costs?
Loses, he said.
LOSES, yes.
In
Asterisk in the
LOSES.
title.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There
Oh,
is
okay.
It's just spell check.
one extra O in there.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, your question is regarding number 5, right?
Yeah, that was my question.
Normally, one of the effective tools of dealing with deficits is hiring freeze across the board. However, a variation is simply to keep some vacancies open longer than others. So this tool will enable the superintendent to pick and choose which vacancies she can delay or which vacancies she would like to fill as quickly as possible. Now, anytime at all a position is vacant for a month, 2 months, or 3 months, there is a payroll savings associated with it. So the longer it takes to fill a position, the bigger the savings associated with that vacancy. So let's say the average vacancy is filled by HR in 3 days. Okay. Supposing we lengthen the average vacancy replacement or filling of the average vacancy to 3 months. So the position is actually vacant for 3 months. Nobody is getting paid.
Okay.
So the longer we keep a sub in the position versus a district employee, we're saving more, correct? What you're
Well,
saying?
that's true. So long as there is a significant difference in
Right,
the,
'cause
in
we're
the
not
cost
paying
of,
all the benefits and
yeah, we're not
everything
paying
else.
all
Okay,
that. Yeah,
gotcha.
It's better off.
But it also states non-classroom vacancies.
Right.
Yeah, no class benefits. Yeah.
Yeah, but it does say non-classroom, so it wouldn't be directly affecting the students, like it wouldn't be a teacher or something.
Right, it's not instructional staff.
Right,
Yeah.
it says non-classroom, so that's what I
Looking
would.
at it, I was like, I'm a little confused.
So
When
like,
you say-
if there was a secretary or something like that went
Yes,
out. or-
classroom vacancies impact the quality of the program.
Right.
So keeping classroom vacancies longer may actually have negative impact on the program. So the best thing is to look at non-classroom vacancies if we can, and keep those ones longer.
Okay.
Well, which ones do we have left? The secretaries and who else?
We have the superintendent position.
That's not,
That one got recently filled. If it becomes vacant again, we may keep it vacant for a year.
okay.
The finance director,
He just
Okay,
giving-
so-
he
if it
just
becomes
giving some
vacant for only 2 years.
He doing it.
The
The
secretary.
HR
These would
director,
be new vacancies.
These are examples.
Okay.
None of you better leave at all. We know where you live.
I had a question on number 3, the instructional staff. How are we doing this, taking into consideration the contractual agreements that we have with our teachers? I know that didn't we build in a clause of emergency contingency or something like
Yeah.
that?
well, this is a contingency plan.
Exigency is what the word is.
Okay.
EX, I can
Financial,
spell it.
yeah.
for you.
Okay.
Financial.
If we do lose students significantly,
Okay.
what they want to know, this question comes directly from Lansing. What they want to know is, what plan do we have? And one of the things we can do is review all the class sizes and try to maximize the class sizes. And once you maximize class sizes, you may have fewer classes. Okay, in that case, you have to reduce instructional staff. Now, I don't know the details of the guarantees they have in the bargaining agreements.
Right.
But,
So then would that be considered a layoff for the teacher or?
Yes, if an economic situation involved reducing class sizes, the number of kids do not materialize like we anticipate, then yes, Superintendent McAnally would have that ability to make that decision. We're going to consolidate classes and eliminate 1, 2, 3 teaching positions.
Okay.
And it would be because of economics.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Now, on the deficit elimination
Sandy.
plan at the bottom, where it says like 26X and 27X, the operation and maintenance and transportation, that's still, that's our outsourcing that we did, is that
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Right.
most of,
Okay.
the cost there will be outsourced costs.
Okay.
Yeah. And those are always gonna be in the plan because that's what we, we approved or
Okay.
voted on.
Okay.
Okay, so I need if there aren't any more questions?
How are we doing on enrollment, by the way? We're are we normal than like last year? About
You
the
know what,
same?
we won't really know until next week when the secretaries start coming back about
Gotcha.
enrollment. I just know that, from the fun fair and today, we've received 18 enrollments, so.
Wow, well, that was great. It was
Oh,
9 when I
wow.
left Saturday. We had 9, so
Yeah,
wow, that's
so
great.
It's getting out there.
Okay, so
18 new people from, like, weren't in our
right,
district
right,
before? Or-
yes.
okay, good, or coming back?
So each time we submit this, then it's always gonna have that on there, am I correct? Okay, so I normally, don't agree with that, so you pretty much know what I'm gonna do when it comes to time to vote on it.
So I need a motion for, to accept the, revised, debt elimination plan.
Madam Chair, move the Board of Education accept the Director of Business and Operations recommendation to approve the revised 2-year deficit elimination plan as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Ms. Funderburg. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 6-1.
I just,
The next item is the revised 2013-14 general fund budget and the 14-15 general fund budget.
Dr. Menza, these budgets are part of the DEP, so that's why we have to vote
Yes.
on this also, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
these
wait, wait, wait.
numbers come directly from the debt.
From the DEP, right,
So it has to agree with the debt.
right.
This,
Okay, so we need a motion, or if there aren't any questions in regards to the budgets?
Madam Chair, move the Board of Education accept the Director of Business and Operations recommendation to adopt the revised fiscal year 2013-2014 general fund budget and the fiscal year 2014-2015 general fund budget.
Support.
Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Funderburg. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
nay.
Motion passes 6-1.
Then the next item on here is MASB delegates for voting at the November convention.
And I think that depends on who's going to the conference this year, and it's such an
I mean,
unknown.
do we gotta have that now?
Well, the conference in November.
Right. I mean, it just
This is-
seems, I mean, I know we do it every year, it just,
Seems like it gets earlier and earlier.
I get, I mean, we can, we can name 3 people to go. I mean,
But you
and
know
if
what?
that
The
person can't go.
conference is the
It's after the
Thursday
election.
after election.
So I mean, honestly, I mean,
So-
you know, my seat's up and there's 3 other members that are running, and if we don't get elected, it's, I mean, honestly, if I was a delegate and I ran and I didn't get elected, I'm not gonna waste the district's
Yeah,
money to go.
right. That's how I felt.
I mean, some people say, yeah, you're still elected, but really, I mean, to me, it'd be kind of a,
Why can't we just call them ASB and just tell them they'll have to
we can
hold
give
3
them, we can
spots
give
or
them
2
names and we can always change it, you know, say there was a change later.
Yeah, there's no money involved in it.
Right. It's just whoever's on there gets
Who
the
wants to
literature
go?
for the voting, that's all.
But Tamika, Sandy, and Danielle will still
Would
be
still
here
be
for
on the
sure.
board, so we could put your names on there. If you go to the conference, fine, and if you don't, then we
Then
just
we can
change
just
them.
switch
Right,
it.
you
That's
just,
Is that fine?
That's
you-
fine.
you'll just get the,
I know
you'll get
that I
the
won't be
literature,
able to
so if you
go,
don't
so I
wanna go,
wouldn't
then you
really
can.
want my
I'll be
name
going
on it.
if I'm here, so.
Well, let's use.
You can throw
John
mine in
said
there. I
he's
don't
going
care.
if he's here.
Yeah, I'm going.
So
if
let's
I'm here.
put.
Certify you, Ms. Bowles?
Yeah, you can put me
Certify
on
you.
there.
and John,
They just give you the
And
information.
I would
You'll
go
get a
with
booklet
a-
and
and then
Elected.
Teresa.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Danielle?
She ain't going, it don't matter.
Okay, then it's got all the things, what they're gonna
I've
do.
If we're
did
changing
like,
it anyway, I mean,
Like the
The
board
voting?
delegate.
I guess my
I've never
thing
been a
is,
board
do we need
delegate.
to vote again
If you-
if
are you
the
gonna go to
names
conference?
change? Because
see why
at some
not.
point, don't
Okay.
those names need to be
Unless
They have to be
submitted
certified.
They have to be
officially?
certified,
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
It don't make
But
me
for
no
now, it can be
difference.
those that plan to go.
Good, but your guys on there don't
Who,
matter.
who plans to go?
Half a dozen
Teresa,
or
you?
60.
Well, I wanted to go, but like I said, like just Tom said, if
Right,
I
I
don't get
mean,
elected, then I'm not gonna go.
That,
but-
that's gonna be the biggest thing with MASB, I mean, the way they move the elections. I mean, you know, we can say we wanna go to get the discount, but what happens if, you know, Tuesday comes around, we find out we didn't get it? I'm not gonna spend the district's money and we can't get refunded,
Right.
so it's kind of, and the new person can't go.
Right.
Well, I don't mind being put in there. If somebody else during that time wants to go, I don't mind not going either. It don't make me no difference.
Right.
Either way, it's fine with me. So it's a sure thing on my behalf.
Can we possibly do this, Madam Chair? Have the superintendent get a hold of MASB and get a letter of understanding that if we decide to go, you know, to put us in it, but if we're not elected, to withdraw our name without any penalties, the district gets all their money
I,
back?
I don't, to be honest with you, for the delegates,
No, I mean for the conference itself,
Self.
because we have to register before.
That's for
'cause if we wait-
registration.
If we wait till the 6th, nobody's, you know, we're gonna be
right.
down the road over on the backside of Grand Rapids.
Well,
Which isn't
Don't
bad, I
wanna
mean, I got
send it.
relatives over there, but still. But
I think
mean,
we have two definites, right?
Tamika, John, and if you wanna put my name on there, you can.
yeah, you gotta have, what is it, 3 and an
Danielle
alternate?
said no.
It's,
said you could put my name on there, but
Yeah,
I
but
don't even, I haven't even confirmed that I'm going.
right.
You can put my name on if you need one on there, but I mean, it's for the conference itself, can we get something from MASB if, you know, people that decide to go aren't elected? You know, we can be withdrawn without the district being penalized?
Well, you get 3 and alternates, once you just put everybody that,
That's what I
except
say,
me.
put everybody's name. Then it doesn't matter.
And then, right? Can we do that?
Yep.
Not Sandy or you. Sandy said no.
Right, because I won't be able to
And
go.
not me.
Teresa.
Yeah.
Put my name down if you need it, I don't care.
And then we'll get clarification before anybody registers for anything, how that will work, because
Yeah,
that's my
because-
concern too.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, you're over half the board that's, you know,
Tamika.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so then we need a motion to have, what were the names you wrote down again?
John,
Um,
Tom, Tamika, John, Danielle, and you.
Yeah, there's 5.
Madam
Ms.
Chair will read it.
Bowles, Mrs. Funderburg, Mr. Kudrick, Mr. Theed, and myself. This is weird. So I need a motion to put those down as our voting delegates.
Madam Chair, at the board's pleasure, based on the district enrollment, board can select 3 voting delegates and one alternate, and recommend Ms. Beard, Ms. Funderburg, Mr. Theeden, Mrs. Bowles, and myself, Mr. Goodrich.
Well, I
Support.
think we can only vote 3 and then the rest are
Alternates.
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 Okay.
So I have a motion by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Ms. Buckley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next item on our agenda is items of interest from the superintendent.
And I have 2. The first one is the welcome back. We've scheduled a welcome back for the staff, August 26th at 7:30 in the morning. It's going to be a Polynesian Hawaiian themed atmosphere because of Miss Smith and Miss Garcia decided to put a little flair into the welcome back. Breakfast will be provided by Chartwell's, but it's paid and funded by MEMIC and Michigan Educational Credit Union. We're going to have a guest speaker, Jerry Jacoby. He's a motivational speaker and inspirational speaker, and has been on the circuit for quite a while. And we're also going to recognize employees for their years of service in the district once again, and that will be under Mr. Banas. So I'm looking forward to the opening program on August 26th for a great school year.
If any of the board is able to attend,
We'd love.
I mean, we've done it in the past. Some of us board members have been there, and it just kind of shows that we're there to support the staff, so.
At the high school?
High school auditorium.
I'll be there.
Super. Then the next one, we had a meeting this week, an ad staff meeting, excellent meeting, very supportive, very motivational, and everybody's gung-ho for a wonderful year. And I met with high school principals, Mr. Banis, Miss Smith, and Mrs. Garcia over the transition of CHS students to RHS. And Mr. Hall was very instrumental in it, and he came up with the plan. We met for a couple hours, but the plan is they're sending out letters to all of the students that ever attended CHS and in the enrollment in our database. And they're asking for an RSVP. So if the students don't RSVP, they're going to make personal phone calls to those students, telling them about 2 meetings that they're going to set up. They got one for the morning time and also one for the afternoon. So to make it convenient for parents to meet with the principal, the counselors, social worker, and Miss Lily, the one that was the counselor over at CHS, she'll be there. So that's part of the plan, and they're going to end up meeting with Miss Garcia and Miss Smith over the curriculum. We've talked a lot about it, and we met with the counselor there, Ms. Mockbridge, and she suggested that we keep those students on the 22 credit merit curriculum and create an educational plan under, right, am I correct? Yeah, a personal curriculum under Ms. Garcia and Ms. Smith.
I have a question. Does the board have to adopt personal curriculums in our policy?
You do, and we are working on that this Wednesday. We're doing the counselors, gen ed staff, and special ed staff getting together this Wednesday morning, 9 to 12. We actually have a copy of a Neola policy for personal curriculums that we're going to make a Romulus policy, and we'll present that to the board to adopt, so that that's in play for the start of the year.
And just so the other board, I don't know if a lot of you know what a personal curriculum is, but it can be used for special ed as well as a general ed student. And it's to give them supports and also to, like, if they're, to adapt to their curriculum to them, to their needs, right?
So basically, when the state of Michigan changed to the Michigan merit curriculum and put in all the
Molly,
criteria-
excuse me, can you get that, yeah.
I was hoping to sneak around that.
Top button.
Thank you, Cheryl.
So when the state of Michigan switched to the Michigan merit curriculum and required all students to graduate with a diploma or be on the certificate of completion track, they kind of put in a another channel to help those kids on the diploma track. It's called a personal curriculum. And it's a working document that can be for general ed students or special ed students. And it allows parents, students, and staff to either adjust coursework so that the students can earn the credits needed to graduate, or it adjusts the criteria for earning a credit for a specific class. So if a student demonstrates continued struggles in math, they can either grant them permission to take another class in lieu of math, or it grants them permission to reduce the criteria for getting that credit. And it's very specific procedures that we have to follow because we don't want to shortchange anybody going to a four-year university, because we don't want to give them a chemistry credit if they truly haven't mastered chemistry and they want to become a doctor.
They
So we-
still have to meet those standards for that credit.
Right. And so we are going to develop policies and procedures for our special ed students and policies and procedures for drafting one for the general ed student. Parents have to sign off on it, staff has to sign off, students have to sign off. And it's really, you have to look at the full picture of what that kid wants when they finish with us.
And I want just to give an example too, would be like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, we don't have this class, but like if a student was having problem with math but was taking like what we used to have, like the home building where they were doing construction with the carpentry type skills, that could be used as a math class in some instances.
Yes, but actually the personal curriculum is even a little bit more flexible than that.
Okay.
If a student has shown a pattern of failure, So for like our general ed students, they have to show that pattern of failure. Then the whole picture can be looked at, and everybody can agree to adopt a different class for that or
okay.
reduce the criteria. Special ed, we use the IEP to drive it.
Right.
So we have a little bit more flexibility with the special ed students. But with those general ed students, we do have options of which classes can count for those particular credits.
Right.
So the basics, are you saying the basics of what they would need in regards to what she was saying is still the same? Because I'm confused in regards to if it was a math class and you said they took, what was the class?
Like if they were doing like a home building class,
home
they're
building
still,
class.
they're still gonna meet standards that are required.
Because there's certain
they're
things you
using
gotta
math
know.
in that.
Right.
So then how does that affect when they go to take like the SAT or ACT and they have to meet certain standards as far as knowing specific algebra equations and things like that? How
And
does
so
that
that's kind
play
of
in
where we
that?
start looking at the student's entire program and path. Because if it's a student who's going to need good ACT scores to get into college, we're not going to want to take them off that kind of
Right.
core curriculum. If it is a kid though who's looking to go into that trade skill field, we want good ACT scores for our district, but the bigger picture is that kid wants to go into this field. So we don't want this kid to have to retake a math class 5 times and graduate in 5 or 6 years. So that's really where it has to be agreed upon by the parents, the counseling, and the students. And so it's very specific, and it's for very specific students.
So do you have something in place for kids that may change their mind? Like if, for instance, they decide to switch over to a different class that's not part of, like something that they would have more basic information in regards like the algebra class.
And that's
or-
where that pattern of failure comes
Yeah,
in.
and that's what I'm afraid of. Like when you have kids that make that kind of decision where they switch over and say, okay, I know I wanted to do this plan, but now I've changed my mind. Now I do want to go
Then
here.
they can re-enroll for that credit, because we do have
Okay.
elective credits that are flexible. But the key for our gen ed students is that it's a pattern of failure.
Okay.
Because what we are running into now as a district is the reason we get failing scorecards is our graduation rates.
Okay.
So right now, in a four-year time frame, we only graduate about 72% of our students. In a 5-year time frame, we graduate almost 89%.
And it's
So-
gonna be a parental consent on that too.
Not can
Correct?
be, there must be parental
Right, that's what I
consent.
thought.
So this isn't just something, the parents have to agree to this.
Okay.
So, and Romulus has a 27 credit graduation requirement. The state of Michigan only requires 18.
Okay.
So we are
got
technically
room.
within our realm that if that kid changed his mind,
Got room to
that we
run
can
different.
say, you already have your 18 credits, here is your diploma, here's what we can do for you type thing. So again, it's not anything casual. For those general education students that we'd look to do this, there are very specific criteria put out for the state of what can count, what can't, and how much the curriculum can be adjusted.
And personal curriculums have been around in the state now for a few years.
They've been
Other
around
districts-
since they switched to MME. They've been around
Right.
for 5 years. Districts just haven't put them into play.
Right.
And now that we have our first sets of graduates that are coming out of this MME curriculum, we're seeing a lot of drop in graduation rates because of it, because of
Right.
that change.
Right. Okay, thank
So
you.
it's a big safety net for our CHS students.
Right.
It's a big safety net for our CHS students, and it also really will help our district with our graduation rates and really helping a lot of those kids that are our bubble kids that struggle to graduate on time and struggle with feeling successful in school. And really kind of what, Mr. Kudrick's always talked about, we don't always have kids that are looking for that four-year college. So
Right.
what do we do to support them, to help them feel good when they leave us?
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
You said, excuse me, I have one other question, Madam Chair.
Yeah, go ahead. Ms. Miller.
You said you're also going to have a social worker that's going to be part of this particular piece for the meeting.
Well, yes, but because of how we had to redesign social work services within Romulus, we will not have social work services available to those community high students. So that is one of the things we looked at when we talked, is that we are going to need that counselor to remain a full-time counselor for them.
Because I know a handful of our students are there because of disciplinary reasons. And so I know that there were contractual agreements that, how are we handling that? I mean, do they just kind of, now that CHS is closed, do they kind of fall by the wayside?
I think
and we
some of the
start
ones
from
that required,
scratch?
what you were talking about, some of the ones that required those social work services due to we're usually on an IEP.
Not when they
Weren't
went to
they?
community. You had to discharge yourself
Oh,
from
that's
special
right, that's
services.
right.
That was how the Michigan law
That's
required
right.
it. But what Mr. Hull did come up with is that not only the kids who are at community, but the kids who have been on the community watch list, that he is going to put into play mentoring groups and kind of focus groups for them
Okay.
among staff to get them those support services. He also said when Linda Poirier, Floretta Marino, and Mr. Hull started looking at the students on that list, they were able to pinpoint, I think, only 5 who had actually been sent there due to behavior problems.
Okay.
So that was one of those things that, okay, we know why you were moved there. What can we put into play to help you?
Okay, now, the students that had IEPs and they were discharged, will they be able to get those back, or are they still?
We'd have to start from ground zero and go all the
Okay.
way through the referral process. And that was the other piece that we already discussed is depending on their age, depending on where they are in their coursework. So for us to get all these kids possibly referred back into special education, we legally could go all the way to January with them. But we don't want them sitting, waiting for services until January. So we suggested Ms. Mockridge's idea of that hybrid, keeping them on the 22 credits,
Okay.
using the personal curriculums where it's appropriate. And there's still maybe some younger ones, some of our young community high kids who, you know what, special services is really going to be the path for them. So let's go ahead and refer them for the evaluation.
Okay, but it's just, so they'll get all of that within their individual counseling session, where
Right.
where you'll
Yes.
look at all of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And now, is that something that's, I know that you're gonna have the meeting, but are we gonna be on track for when school starts to have had all that take place? Or is that kind of like something that's gonna kind of trickle into the new year, for the new school year?
He's looking at the 2 meetings.
And his mindset was that those parents and those kids that come there, we get them a day with their counselor right off the bat.
Gotcha. Okay.
And get them a meeting set up, get class work looked at, get credits looked at to see where you're at, how close you are to graduating, how close you are to that 22, how close you are to being actually an adult student, and then maybe it's the GED. Whatever makes the light at the end of the tunnel shine brightest for those kids is kind of what we're thinking we need to do.
So, okay, so I guess in my head, I was thinking that this is everybody in one room, but you're saying that each person is gonna make an appointment.
And that is kind of what he was thinking, but if, we only have 6 kids turn up, there's no reason why we can't just meet with those 6 kids and say,
Gotcha.
where are you at?
Okay.
It's a matter of also transcripts all coming along, where are all the credits at. There's a lot we can pull from Zangle, but there's some stuff that we gotta wait to get out of their records.
Because I'm thinking that we have approximately at least, 28 on the books for sure right now. And if 28 people show up, well, it's 28 students and their families, that's a handful of, it's a large amount of people to kind of have have that counseling session, and depending upon the session itself and what it has, you're maybe talking an hour and a half, 2 hours.
The conversation really was to give them what are the options, what do we have in place for you?
Okay.
Here's what we envision for you to help you reach your goal the fastest way possible.
Okay,
But you're not gonna have like special meetings with each family and
that's
each.
what I
Yes,
was,
we're not at the ones he set up, we're gonna set up appointments that they can come in.
that's what I was
Okay.
trying to.
Because there's some
okay.
business that doesn't need to be shared in
So
a
the
large
first,
room.
Right.
first meeting is gonna be a general information form, then they
Okay,
set up the
that-
individual
that's what I
appointment for
wasn't-
the
Yes.
beginning.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, for them
That's
to
what I
show
wasn't
up.
hearing.
To
Okay.
get them to start thinking about what they need to do
What
in their
options we
options
have for them and
and what they wanna follow.
Yep.
Period.
Okay,
Okay,
gotcha. There.
And that's where they'd sign up with their counselors.
That's really
Okay.
exciting. I feel better now.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm very excited about that, because I was concerned about those students.
and we also Mr. Hall again. He is got some great ideas. His, and we talked with Mr. Ban. It's just some alternate ways to possibly get in extra tutoring, some extra program. Like there's ideas besides just everything we can already implement now. We do have ideas that we are thinking of. What can we add to it as we get going?
Great.
Great. I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you.
So do you have anything else?
I do. The next one is I've given you a flyer for the farmer's market on Wednesday, fresh food down there. And then, a reminder for Camp Learn Lot, the barbecue on Wednesday, August 13th at 5 o'clock at WIT.
Wednesday.
And that would end And then another, just an FYI, the leases or contracts are coming in, and what I'm trying to do is email them to you so that you can look at all three of them. We have one for Mount Pleasant, we have one for the food bank, and then one for rec. So I'll email them, look them over. If you have any questions that you want our lawyer to look at or answer before we bring them to the board, we can get that done. Hopefully, we can bring them all, three of them, back to the board on our next meeting,
Which is August
28th.
28th.
25th.
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 Yeah.
Ms. Beard, you know I will not be here.
I
Yes.
won't be here either.
Right.
Be here.
Take my baby to college.
Okay.
And that's it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm assuming that there's no communications and expressions from the public. 'Cause I don't see anybody here. So,
We got rained out.
yeah.
Still raining.
Questions and concerns of board members, Mr. Kudrick.
I've actually got two. Actually, they're both really for the superintendent. One is more or less, could you confirm with Mr. Woodson that our football coaches are following the new Michigan High School Athletic Association rules for practice, length of practice, and the dates when they can make contact, since this is the first year they come out, so we don't have any problems? Just to reiterate, I imagine they are, but let's just make sure we are, because practice times have changed, the length. And they came out with that to help reduce injuries for students. And also another thing, maybe you can tell us how this would impact us with the charter school authorizers being on notice. 11 of them out of 11 out of 44 are on notice by Mike Flanagan, the superintendent of the
They
state.
need to make
So
changes.
how would that affect our enrollment? And are any of them charter schools that are on notice by them authorizers in our area?
I'm not sure who charters the two schools in our district, but we know that Eastern Michigan and Western and Central are two big universities.
Right,
that
if we
have
could
many
find that out,
charters.
that might be a good thing to kind of like,
So
So hammer knows.
we're
Because-
hoping to
Yeah.
fall there.
so I mean, I know they got till October to get their problem solved, but if he says, nope, they don't do it, I mean, is his vision
Well,
to
you
shut
also,
them down?
you also saw the article in the newspaper where $1 billion of charter money was put in individuals' pockets and not back to the schools.
Yeah, we
and
talking about the one in Flat Rock and Romulus?
Well,
The one that lives on Groseal? Yeah.
but
The
it was good
superintendent-
news that they're watching.
The superintendent that hired her husband to do all the construction work? Yeah, we seen that one.
Okay, Ms. Bowles? Did you have anything?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Ms. Sprout?
I have nothing.
Mr. Thied?
Nothing.
Mrs. Buckley?
I just want to make a statement on the academic fair we had on Saturday. I was so impressed. It was a blast. It looks like everybody was having fun. I heard a lot of good feedback from it, so I know a lot of parents that came, so kudos to those that set it up. So thank you. Now, are we going to be doing that every year?
We hope to. We hope to.
Okay.
And if nothing more, then a thank you to the parents for supporting our schools.
It was very nice, very nice. Thank you.
Mrs. Feder?
Ditto to what she said. I was gonna say the same thing. Just got a lot of really positive feedback and, just that opportunity of possibly getting some more vendors that'll kind of come out. I've heard that it was a lot of people who wanted to be there but couldn't because of the date. They needed a little bit more leeway. So, wanted to say thank you to Ms. Notaro and Mrs. Johnson for putting that together. And I hear that it was a collaborative piece for all the administrators, but they were the two that spearheaded it. So thank you very much. Had a ball.
Yep, I was there too, same thing. And wanted to thank the staff that came too. There was a lot of staff that showed up and manned each school's booths, and the kids were all excited, and so, yeah, it was a good day. And that's all I have, so I need a motion for adjournment.
I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Support?
Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mr. Thied. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Meeting is adjourned at 6:38.